No, we already researched, got a sample, have been selling this yoga mat. Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, we're recording. Welcome to the Toast of the Wyrd podcast. We're already 2 hours into our conversation.
It's cold outside.
And we're not going to go work out at the park today because it's cold and hailing. Welcome to spring.
We actually, spring. There's snow on our mountains right here, folks. I mean, technically, working out, we did have a nice walk. I mean, we sweat bullets by, doing muscle ups. But did
we get out and move more than we would have?
Thank you. Yes, exactly. So, was it a show up day? Yeah, it was a show up day.
Some placeholder. Actually, there's a monk right now on the socials going around. He's from the European...
David Goggins just came in and told us we're all pussies. We got to get back to the...
No, there's this monk from the Shaolin Temple, Europe,
right,
who's like,
I see him.
Get out to the park. There you go.
It's like the Sasa, right? You see him doing a bunch of stuff. Talking about a bunch of stuff.
He's talking about a bunch of stuff. He's not doing a bunch of stuff. He's just like, get to the park, get to the park and walk. Okay. And then the next day, get to the park and run. Just do it in baby steps. Because he's like, there's all things in balance. There's a day to the night, night to the day. There's gonna, be, hatred and love and all that stuff that he's got going on. And I think that's what placeholder days are. We show up. We go to the park, we walk around, and we go. I don't know about you, but my back hurts like son of a gun because of what I was doing the past 2 weeks at work.
No, that's exactly why when I was younger, I chose a career path that wouldn't beat my body up.
Fair.
Yeah, no,
super fair. Somebody once told me...
being a man. Go ahead. No.
Go ahead.
No, you first.
Somebody once told me that the reason why tradespeople get paid so well is because their life expectancy is shorter.
I saw some shit about that too. Yeah, I just remember being younger and looking at my dad, and it's very honorable, manly work, and it's very, knowledgeable stuff, but it takes a toll on you after 25 years. You see a 50-year-old mechanic and you see a 50-year-old banker. Who do you think is going to last till they're 80?
Well, it's all about choosing your suck too.
Exactly. There you go too.
Choose what sucks. That banker, that, I picture some fat white old dude. Like, he's got stress. He can't even get out of the chair and walk to his car. That's the kind of stuff that I'm like, choose your suck, right?
It's very true.
I can get out and walk to the car, but I'm going to be limping every time I do it and cussing up a storm getting to the car, but I'm going to get to the car. The old banker, he probably the same thing. Probably have to lug his fat around,
sedentary lifestyle, sitting at the desk the whole time. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
So having that nice balance between everything, but yeah, it's man, society.
Right, we just dumped a whole bunch of cool brainstorming stuff when mics were cold.
It's all good though, but what comes with that is the skill in that. Like, how many out of that segment, just say that group of men that are in the construction field, most of them could probably build their own house.
Well, the only knowledge that you really need to have in life is how to build stuff, how to cook stuff, how to grow stuff. Everything else is frivolous. Like,
fight stuff, how to fuck stuff.
Well, fighting maybe, but the other thing is copulating is natural. I didn't have a coach when I was doing my first time. Like, hey, this is what you do. Now there you go. Little to the right, little to the left.
You didn't have a coach like cheering you on, but you had some prior knowledge. I think it's the movie Tin Cup. I think Kevin Costner's character says he's like after he gets done having coitus, actually he's like, someone said, or whoever, he's like, the two things in life that you don't have to be good at to enjoy are golf and sex.
I don't even enjoy golf, so I don't get that.
Something like that.
I don't understand that reference. If I hit a ball with a stick a few hundred acres away and I find the thing, I'd consider that a winning. I'd go home. I don't need an excuse to drink. Just pull up a stool. There you go. Have a beer. There you go. Right? I don't drink anymore, but that's what it was back in the day. So, here we are, number 12. This is our 12th episode. And I was thinking about, after having 20 episodes, like really starting to edit, cut up stuff, and dive deep into the marketing of the podcast. I know, like don't talk about the business of it, and you're like, yeah, let's talk about the business of it, but it just came to top of mind right now. So,
well, I think a lot of the new good episodes back, our first episodes. I mean, keeping it as real as possible. I think that's what we've been doing. We'll get eventually to the major podcast level. That would be great, one day, but
the day will come. Alright. We are at our secondary recording studio because it's cold and wet, and we're going to hang out for a bit. Oh, I can't put that away. I need this. Little does... Thank God the mic receiver wasn't plugged.
You notice someone graffitied our property?
Somebody graffitied it? Where?
Yeah. Fucking graffiti, dude, all over the fucking place. I know that wasn't there when we left.
That is totally my wife's handiwork. She was probably out here with our little daughter, and she was like, draw a cat, draw a dog, draw a sun.
There's a fish in there.
There is a fish in there.
It says, love you, M.A. Yeah, and they made that for Daddy.
Aww.
Oh, the sun's got sunglasses because it's so bright.
Wow.
Aww.
So I think there's something to this whole energy and vibration stuff that we throw out there. I know, I'm just like, all right, changing subjects. We got graffitied.
I'm loving the algorithm for that. Everything I turn on, it's like vibration, frequency, everything,
healing,
everything.
Yes. Yeah, and then you're sending me videos of how magnets can connect and energize light bulbs, and I'm sitting here thinking, with the very limited knowledge that I know about the limited knowledge that humanity knows about electricity, thinking that is very cool. So I think setting up an experiment station, like I was talking about, is going to be dope. To just hey, this is weird, let's do it.
Right. And again, how big of a magnet would I need to just charge my entire home?
So, there was a guy I worked with a guy who worked with a guy, right? And he set up some kind of generator because he lived right next to power lines. He set up a generator to power his home so that way he could leach energy from the power lines into his home. And it was some electromagnetic transference or some kind of triple nickel word. The basis is he had copper coils set up to generate power for his entire home. He got in so much trouble with the electric company. They fined him and all this other good shit, but it was possible.
How'd they find out?
How they found out because that was back in the day when the meter readers would come and actually physically look at the meter and write it down. Okay, so that's how they found out.
So they found out because he wasn't drawing any electricity?
Yes.
So really all he would have had to do is throw up some fake solar panels and they would have oh, he's got solar panels.
Back in the day, if he had fake solar panels, they'd be like, yeah, sure.
Or just throw them up, but they didn't connect anywhere, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They just went into his house and he's like, what's that? It's my fake solar wire because I'm taking power from the transformer.
Yeah.
Not
the transformer, the power lines going across his house.
Nice.
I'm going to go in the shade structure. I'm going to stay dry here. Yeah. So that's the kind of thing that I want to start doing is these Nikola Tesla style experiments. We'll throw those up on a YouTube channel and just be oh, we talk about all this stuff. We talked about the idea and then we did the thing and then now here it is.
Have you, I'm going to show you, so it's going around online. Hey, remind me again, what exactly is a lightsaber?
Put that towards your face.
That's what she said.
Hey-oh.
Anyway, hey, yeah, what exactly is a lightsaber again?
I have no merely energy condensed to a cutting thing. Are you talking about the hacksmith's recreation of the lightsaber? Yeah, it's on. Yeah, it's on. You're good.
No, isn't it like just a plasma torch, though, technically? It's like a plasma beam?
Sure.
This is going around, so it's a lighter that's rechargeable. So it's not, there's no fuel in it. It's made by Tesla coils.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and the way they show it online is like it gets like 1.5 feet long, and I'm like, that's a fucking small lightsaber.
Buy it. Let's try it.
Well, I'm gonna get it. We're gonna get it. It's gonna be on our review thing. It just reminded me of it when you're talking about it right now. You know, like
that would be cool. That would be cool to review stuff like that. Just
yeah, they showed them like cutting tin cans and fucking all kinds of other shit.
Let's do it.
Okay, I'm sending so many videos. Did you see that thing about the copper coil wrapped between the two magnets and how it'll heat up metal, but it won't heat up flesh?
No.
Because on the videos I showed you, so they stuck a copper coiled wire between two magnets. You can stick a knife in it, and it'll get hot, and it'll cut, and it's plasma.
Huh.
But you can stick your finger in there, stick between it, touch it, and it doesn't generate any heat for you. I think it may have to do with that same premise where that the heatless hot pan, where that guy's like, yeah, you can cook your eggs while sitting on the plate when the pan's in your lap and reading a newspaper. It was something like the 1940s or whatever, where the guy was cooking things on a electric stove or something like that, where it wasn't creating any heat, but it was cooking the eggs on the pan, and he was like putting his hand on. He put the newspaper on the coil, nothing, didn't light up. He put the pan over the fucking paper on top of it, started cooking the eggs again. He's like, you could sit on the coil, put the pan in your lap, it'll cook the eggs while you read the newspaper.
That would be something where, like, I want to see that. That sounds like a load of malarkey.
Oh, it was an old clip. I sent it to you. I got it on my reel.
See it.
I'll send it, yeah.
Resend it.
Old commercial.
I might have sent it to somebody else, though.
No. I send it to you. The problem is we send too much. There's like 7 things, and we talk about one thing.
That is. Speaking of 1950s, did you see the yogi who meditated himself to death? Did you see that too? No. This goes along the whole energy and vibration thing, consciousness or whatever. It really caught my eye. This guy, he's like, comes to the Western world to show how Western and Eastern religions can coexist together, blah, blah, blah. And since it's the 1950s or whatever, everybody's like, ha, he's a cute little circus sideshow act, right? So he makes this last speech, and he talks about how he's like, the West is a very good idea, but I am done now, and I'm going to go meditate off onto the next plane of existence. And that was the last thing he recorded. And he died because he meditated himself back, across the Rainbow Bridge. Whatever. And then that led to me looking into all these yogis. Oh, I saved this because I really wanted to talk about it. His name, the guy I was just talking about, is Paranamama Hasana Yoganda. I hope I'm saying that right. Born Maduka Lagush, January 5th, 1893 to March 7th, 1952. Came to the States in 1925. Now it's on? It wasn't on before? Alright.
I need to shut mine off.
I'm hoping that. You been messing with it? Oh.
No, because sometimes when I grab it and to move it, I'll touch the button. I'm like, did I shut it off? And I'll look at it. I was like, it wasn't green. Now it's weird shit.
Now mine has a green mic. Whatever. Mm-hmm. Alright, so learning as we go. Now your mic's off. But it's supposed to be a smart thing too. It's supposed to just pick up your voice. Now it's off. Dude, I've never had a problem with recordings until today, I'm sure. Like, normally when I hand you the mics, like, we're good. And now you're just like, dude, I'm going to be like, well, we got half the podcast. We got my voice in on it and your voice in the distance off of my mic. Because normally I just pull it out, put it on, and go. You know.
100% professional show, folks, by the way. 100%. All for your viewing pleasure. This is all scripted, by the way.
I know, right? I'm like, this was really interesting. The mics won't work. What?
I tune in every week just to hear what kind of dumb crap these guys fucked up this week. I don't know what they're talking about, but man, I love their mic drops and like all the sound fading.
Tune in next week for Grunts and Groans. 135. I just did 135 push-ups, but you can't prove it because this is just a recording and not a video.
Hey, if we're famous enough that people are in the comments, then we've come to the point. But you know what? If anyone remembers or seen the movie Idiocracy, the movie who won like the best film that year was Ass.
It was porn.
No, it was a movie called Ass. It was just someone's butt like farting for like 40 minutes or whatever. That was it.
God.
Yeah.
So, being the father that I am, I'm often watching what my children are doing. We're going from like meditative and energy sources to fart jokes here. So, what gets more views? Fart jokes and ass. So,
controversy, womanizing, red pill mansphere.
That's another theory I came across too that blew my mind for a couple days. Anyway, let me finish the thought. So my daughter's watching this video about dads, and all of the dads are just dolts. They're just pure dolts. And then last night, she's watching this video of the dad just farts. It's like, my daddy likes to fart, and it's a whole song about this guy who just farts in front of his kid. Like, Daddy, would you like to go play with me? And the guy goes, huh? And I'm like, what in the hell is being marketed to kids? Your dads are all idiots. That's what's being marketed. They just like to fart. That's it. So,
did that guy get a spokesman deal from someone, or
no? It was a cartoon character.
That's what I'm talking about. He's someone's spokesperson. He's the generation. Kids, don't respect your parents. Your dad's an idiot.
Exactly.
Listen to your teachers. Chop off your penis.
Right? What are we?
I mean, if you feel that way, whatever. When you're an legal consenting adult and you've had years to think about your life. But hey, guess what? When you're a teenager,
when you're confused and all the hormones are raging,
all the adults can tell you this for a fact. Nobody knew anything about anything they wanted to do, who they were, anything at all, what they liked, what they didn't like, because they had to figure it all out.
And everybody cares. Everybody cares what's between your legs. And that's the creepy part about it.
Really? I don't give a fuck.
To me, like, who cares what's between these kids' legs? That boy wants to wear a skirt, let him wear a fucking skirt. Who cares?
I don't. I remember the first time I saw some guy in a dress. I was going to high school. I was like in 8th grade visiting my sister's high school, and it was like Halloween or some shit.
Yeah.
And he was wearing a dress, and it was like no one gave a fuck.
I remember the elder goths. Well, we call them elder goths now, but they were like the original gothic kids and all that stuff. And this dude had a kilt on, and my dad was like, he's got a skirt on and all that stuff, which led me to, as an adult, say, you know what the difference between a kilt and a skirt is? What you got underneath it. Real men don't need underwear.
I was just going to say, I don't... Okay, yeah, I was like, I don't really... I mean, there's that button, I guess, the, like, button part, maybe, technically. The, like, cloth section, if you want to get, technical about it. But logistically speaking, nothing between a skirt and a kilt, right? Like...
Yeah, there's nothing.
And that's my heritage, man. That's I come from
what's
over
on
there,
underneath.
Yeah. Why does that remind me about William Wallace for some reason? In that battle scene where they're all like, you know what I mean? Like, it's
they're flashing at
it's true. They all had manly skirts on.
Mm-hmm. You know why the Scots and Irish wore kilts? The zippers scare the sheep.
Okay, that's crossing some lines.
That's crossing the line? You're like, all right, we're going to chop off your genitals, kids.
I think it's a short it's a dress, so it's a manly version because men, showed off their legs. I mean, you go back to the Roman times, they were just wearing, like, Daisy Dukes, like, down there. They had, like, all this chest armor and all this shit, and then you have, like, just enough to cover your balls, like, your whole legs are showing, and then, like, some nice boots on. Like, that was weird to me, honestly.
Isn't that when, like, all of the soldiers had sex with each other because they thought that being strong... They thought that... Well, they paired up, I guess, but they thought that fighting next to your lover would make you a better fighter because you want to protect your lover, kind of a thing.
I don't know about all of the, that, but again, just medieval armor and, when I look at some of it, I'm like, that's not very practical, man.
Roman,
like, I'd go right for your leg. Like,
you start talking about the Romans and the Greeks, you start talking about some weird history and heritage there, you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Clever edit.
Macedonia. Yep. Thrace.
You want to go back to vibrations and monks meditating to death? Meditating themselves to death?
Actually, I want to stick on some stuff. So I think you may have mentioned it, but I just saw this old clip of this Jesuit priest. He was a Jesuit priest talking about how Napoleon didn't exist. And it is just sun worship. And I was like, what?
I wasn't alive back then.
But he was talking about the whole story of Napoleon reflects the story of Apollo. His sisters, like everything, and I was just like, what? And someone else had told me before that Napoleon didn't exist and is part of that.
The general? Are you talking about the general, the French general, who was like, I'm going to march into Russia, and then, you know.
Supposedly, yeah. And I was like, and it was an old clip. It was an old priest. And I was like, this is from the Catholic Jesuit Church. And I was like, holy shit. Haha.
Dude, I went into that vault. The Catholics have a vault.
The papal archives?
Yes.
Yeah, the fucking miles and miles, and you can't get in there unless you know what you want to see, and you have to be 75 years... What?
Yes, I went in there. The Library of Alexandria is probably in that motherfucker, too.
Oh, absolutely. That's just... They're like, that's the East Wing.
And this is everything that's happened since. Woo! You know? Hell to the yes.
It only takes 3 generations to erase anything you may have known.
Yeah, well...
That's it. 3 generations.
It takes 3 generations to erase a family's wealth, too. The first generation builds it, the second generation maintains it, and the third generation destroys it.
I saw that, too, yeah. The probability of your wealth, being
unless your name is Rothschild. But we don't talk about the Rothschilds or the Federal Reserves. Because that's how people get disappeared.
What I have learned from all of that is it just how you structure your money with your family. Mm-hmm. Because after so long, it doesn't matter how good of a person you are, you don't work for anything, you're not going to appreciate anything. Things are given to you, they come easy, it's going to give you a different mindset on life. You never starved, you were never hungry, you never worried about something, it's going to change the way you think stuff.
Yeah.
So if you have trusts and, IUL, life insurance, and foundations, and all this other stuff that prevents your kids from spending too much money. Oh, wait. And then when you get rich, here's the biggest one. Donate everything to a charity. By the way, folks, the charity I own and that my kids control, and they get to spend everything. Is it really charity? I don't know. Oh,
it's a charitable organization.
Have you heard of a DAFT before?
No, I've called people daft many a
time. The
time.
definition, I'm not 100% sure, but what it is you can open up like a charity thing, so you can get the benefits of your money for the discount for giving to charity without actually giving it to charity yet. What kind of slimy criminal bullshit is that?
They call it the Bruce Wayne theory, I think is what it is. I heard this guy talking about this exact thing. It's the Bruce Wayne thing where he had to dodge $25 million in taxes, so he bought a $25 million piece of artwork and donated it to a charity and wrote it off as $25 million, but the charity was owned by him.
Yep.
Something along those lines. Yeah.
You talking about real Bruce Wayne, or is that just a...
That's just a philosophy. That's the hypothetical. Like, you could do this, you know?
Oh, it's all... Yeah, absolutely.
But I've also talked to people who are like, yeah, my cousin's an artist in California. I was like, oh, how much does he make? It depends on how much the buyer needs to write off in taxes. What? I had that conversation for real, and I'm not going to name names.
50 or 5,000,
right? He lives a pretty good life in California. Oh, I'm sure he does. Well, you know, it's sink or swim. Like, he does better when it's, you know, the end of the tax year than he does at the beginning of the tax year, and he just squanders all his money. I'm like, of course he does. He's an artist. What artist do you know that didn't get high, doesn't get high, doesn't have any kind of alterations?
Well, you're asking someone who has the ability to create and be, you know, artistic, to have grounded math skills. That's not probable.
Fair.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's
fair.
That's like asking the fucking diehard
no alcoholic accountant Mormon to fucking write you a poem that's going to make you cry. Like, that's not, it's not feasible.
I'm sure they could write a haiku, something along the lines of, you owe $50 billion to Taiwan.
Enough. Fair enough.
That would make me cry. Like, I know how much money.
Okay, you got me there. That's a good one. But I mean, it's like we ask too much of people. It's the same thing as like, business back in the day. You have to do everything yourself and be an entrepreneur. And now it's like, no, you need a team. Why? Because I'm not a banker. I'm not an accountant. I'm not these things. I'm a fucking...
Well, humanity's always needed a tribe to do anything. Because not everybody can be the blacksmith and plow the fields. If I got to make horseshoes all day, I'm not going to be able to, take the horse out to the field. I got to make the tools to make the horseshoe,
Well, I mean, you're talking about specialization time. Is that really the best thing that could have gone with humanity? Because, I mean, think about before then in the tribe-ish mentality or loner. I mean, you knew everything yourself. I mean, you had the ability to do almost everything, Mm-hmm. And then we I think it's from Ghost in the Shell, the first one, the original. It says over-specialize and you breed in weakness. It's a slow death.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm gonna throw it to the Wallers and the, what was that guy's name? Capital Club guy. Anyway, I'm going to throw it back to them. The Capital Club guy, he's like, I know, I talk about it, and then he's going to pop up with his name in my Facebook feed. He's like, know this guy's name! And more power to him, because he's a real smart kid.
I would just clap and be like, yay, we're getting noticed!
Woohoo!
I'm sorry, but at this point, if someone famous were to drop some shit in and be like, yeah, I'm going to ride this coattail, motherfucker.
The NSA knows me enough to send me this so that way I can talk about it more on a podcast that 3 people listen to. Woohoo!
Listen now, folks, on how this 3-subscriber podcast got assassinated by the NSA.
Well, all right.
One of the dumb fucking things they talk about.
So anyway, he's talking about having to be a jack of all trades and how's the rest of that phrase go? Right?
Master of none, or
exactly.
Okay.
Why not be a jack of all trades and master of everything? Do everything well enough that it passes, that it functions. I'm sure a person who over specializes can make those elaborate gates out of toothpicks that look like dragons or whatever, and that's great. Don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking that. But why not be able to be the guy who make the gate, put up the gate, use the gate, plow the fields?
I think it's the 80-20 rule. You ever heard that?
Yeah.
So yeah, you only need to do or find the 20% of something that's going to get you 80% of it. So yeah, exactly that. And you can find someone again. Eventually, that reminds me of this guy who was talking about being a videographer for Andrew Tate.
Okay.
And again, it was a good lesson on how you structure a deal. So he was talking about, first of all, he's like, his pitch was, he's like, you have the best this, you have the best this, you're the best at that, soon you have the best videographer. And he's like, what I'll do, he's like, I will fly myself out personally to you, take all the footage and give you a video, and then you can judge it from there. So basically he had absolutely nothing to lose by letting the guy try. And then Tate came back with like G-pitch. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's all G-pitch and he gave the guy a shot, and that's how he became
his videographer,
thing. Yeah. And oh my gosh, the Tate model, we could go on for that. All that stuff. But going back to your original point with the bankers and all that stuff, Jay Waller went to his steel team when he was first starting out. He's got a story on this where he was like, all right, guys, we're going to structure you this way. You're going to spend your money that way. This is a great blueprint for you to create your own wealth. And they all laughed at him and went, give me a $2 an hour raise. When in all reality, the plan that he laid out with compounding interest and business structures would have taken him farther along with his people, but in all reality, they just wanted a $2 an hour raise because that's what they wanted. And these are guys raising steel. Like, they do math calculations all day long.
So does that go to show you that even someone who's educated doesn't know a better way when they see it? Or is it just the fact that we've been so bred to think as an employee that they didn't capture on that? Because again, too, that's the head of your company is telling you, hey, I'm going to do this. So it's more of the short-term benefit, the $2 an hour now, versus the long-term gain that they were looking at, perhaps?
Yes.
Well, I got to look that. I'm going to look at that story later. That's cool.
Yeah,
know that.
Definitely. Okay. Definitely. But that goes back to the artist doesn't do math statement that you made earlier. I was like, well, these iron workers, they made all kinds of math calculations all day long. I know you probably never raised steel in your life, but you've heard of the Pythagorean theorem, right? Mm-hmm. You heard that? They use that for real. Day.
Yeah.
You know, they're making the tensile strength of the steel calculations and the, squaring and all the stuff that goes into it all the time. But they don't want to do the math on compounding interest.
What's
positive compounding interest.
Positive
interest that benefits the beholder.
Yourself, not the other way where credit works. But you know, it's the same thing though. Like, it took me a while to get into it, and because people have talked, like, I'm using the example of cashback credit cards, right? People have talked a little bit, whatever. And, you don't understand the gravitas of the length of that decision when you don't do it. And it's something, if I had done that 10 years ago versus now, holy fuck, man.
Well, did they have it 10 years ago, though, to your benefit, too?
Okay. How much, exactly. But again, I just try to explain to people, I'm like, hey, instead of putting everything on your debit card, put everything on your credit card and make one payment. Oh, well, I'm like, you're literally getting money. I'm going to teach you how to make money off your own money, and you don't want to.
Yep. Well, that's a risk because it's 30% to the negative benefit and only 1% to the positive benefit.
What do you mean?
I'd rather 1%. Whatever the cashback credit card rate is, I see them mostly as 1%, so I'm just using that. So they fear the 30% of negative interest by not making that payment versus the 1%, anyway. And really, if they
treated it like a credit card and not a personal loan and paid it off every month instead of accruing interest, as they literally tell you that we give you X amount of days before we charge you interest, and on top of that, you can get cards that give you introductory APR financing that give you 0%. Yeah.
Yes, thank you for completing that thought, because I got tripped up right now with the whole, this is not financial advice.
This is not financial advice. It's for educational purposes only, and or things you can read yourself.
This is just things that I do for me personally.
Actually, though, is this not financial? I didn't tell anyone to do anything. I'm just stating a fact.
Right.
Cashback credit cards at 2% interest or 2% cash back. Every $1,000 you spend on your normal bullshit every month, you get $20 back. Oh, that doesn't sound like a lot. Would you like $200 at the end of the year with your tax return? Oh, sure. Okay, put everything on your credit card and then fucking pay it. Oh, what? The first year I did that, dude, I made $954.
There you go. And that's $954 that you made by buying shit.
Yeah,
right?
Off my own fucking money. Yep.
Yeah, dude, we got to structure serious. Because I'm like, oh yeah, all these little simple things. And then you send me stuff like the guy who's like, okay, take your C corporation, have that own all your LLCs, and there you go. See, my issue is that you have to have a business that generates value. You have to have a value proposition. Right?
Well, are we not generating value?
Well, it depends. We're generating value for 3 whole people right now.
It's like having a product on the shelf that no one sees yet. Doesn't mean it's not valuable.
That's true.
You just have to raise your shelf level, your shelf space.
Yeah, get to the... Yes, and that's what I was talking about to you before with the whole 30 seconds pointing it to the longer format, because I don't know about you, but I got the attention span of a goldfish for some things.
Well, to me, this is what I actually like about you when we first started talking about this. You said to me that we're not going to stop until we hit at least 100. I think in my mind, as like a consumer, if I had 2 options, 2 brand new channels I'm looking at, and we'll be right back.
No. Finish your thought, and then we'll be right back.
If I had 2 brand new channels and they both had 3 subscribers, which one would I more likely dig into? One that had 12 episodes or one that had 100 episodes? I think I would look at the one that had 100 episodes.
Yeah, absolutely.
To me, I'm just like, they just got started. Let's see what this shit is. So I'm not really concerned with our subscriber count yet, Like, we just got started, I think we're still building the boat. We can't even have passengers yet.
All right. We'll pause. We'll be back in a blip. All right. Structures, organization, understanding how to live your life. There was a guy at the warehouse that I used to work at, and he's the one that introduced me to that whole concept. He's like, I'm paying the bill anyway. I may as well make pennies off of it. And in my adult brain, I was like, pennies don't add up.
Right? Yeah. That's the thing. We see such small numbers, and we're like, oh, what difference does that make? And yet, you know what that reminds me of, actually? When every time someone leaves me, they're like, no, go ahead and keep that. I'm like, you just gave yourself an 8% fucking, you just paid 8% more on this product than you should have.
I'm not
telling me to keep your change.
I'm not going to lie.
What the fuck?
Yes. I'm not going to lie. When I was a gas station clerk back in the day, somebody would say, keep the change. I would literally take that as they are giving me their money. So I would go home with $5 in my pocket, at the end of the week, because people were like, keep those pennies, keep the change, blah, 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 blah. On Graveyard, I had one person come in and she was like crazy, at the time, I think meth was the main thing. It wasn't a fentanyl thing. It was back in the day.
Meth.
I'm gonna date myself. It was like just after the crack epidemic, right before the fentanyl epidemic. It was meth.
Heroin came before fentanyl.
Heroin too, whatever.
Came back anyway.
Whatever. She would come in and be like, you got any change around here? And start looking like in the candy right in front of the register for dimes and nickels and pennies.
Drop, yeah.
Because she's like, nobody really picks this stuff up. And then she's like, all right, I'm going to go to I'm going to go to a store a mile away. And she'd go, come back and be like, I got $20 tonight. All right. I wouldn't see her for 3 days.
They say most of the world lives off less than like $2 a day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm just saying, you could take these simple principles of just rolling over your pennies in a compounding manner.
Yes.
And they will add up. If tweakers are out there like, I'm going to collect pennies off the ground. I'm not saying go collect pennies off the ground. I'm saying that if you take some of these concepts that are out there in the market and just, roll it into one another, you too could have $54 at the end of the year.
Yeah. Oh, segue. Gentleman, whatever random fucking thing he was talking about, was talking about how he could cure a lot of our issues moving to the future. And he's like, what we could do is any child born, and sure, whatever, I don't give a fuck whose child, but if you're a child born in the United States, everyone is sharing with the wealth. What we can do is give that child a Roth IRA account with $7,000 when they're born.
And by the time they're 65, it's $1 million or what have you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was
like,
that's fucking beautiful. Yeah, I was like, thank you.
It would be way cheaper than what we're doing now.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah. Way cheaper than all the fucking bullshit we're doing and all that. Yeah, I was like, that's beautiful.
Yeah, but somebody would get greedy out there. They'd be like, I got to touch that. I got to touch that for everyone.
I saw some shit about how you can claim your Social Security benefit now or something.
Yeah,
some shit where you can go in and pull it. I was just like, that's
I don't know how valid that is. I've heard about that too.
Here's my argument for it. It's like telling me I can't withdraw money from an account that I know is not going to be there in 10 more years.
Might not be.
And you fucking, might my ass. I don't think it's fucking still around. But anyway, yeah, shit's been pillaged so many times, but I'll look more into that. Folks, you need to look more into that.
Also, we won't report back on this because we won't remember. We got a short-term memory here.
No,
Once a week podcast.
We lead you to the water. If you're thirsty enough, you can drink that shit.
Yeah, but I heard the same thing too, because in that Social Security, again, compounding interest, it's supposed to be for you to live a moderately comfortable life or maintain your standard of living. Yeah. And then there's so much money in it that you use it for 10 years or whatever, you die, the beneficiary is literally the United States government for the Social Security system. Yeah. So the argument for being able to touch it without, I think it's called opting out of the Social Security system. So the argument for that is it's my money, blah, 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 the government this and the government that,
Well, it's all business. It's all just money in an account, regardless of how you structured it and everything. That's really what it is. And honestly, if you think about it in this way, is that not my money I've been paying since I was fucking able to pay taxes on it?
Yeah.
So technically, from my understanding, the way they talked about it is I'm just withdrawing everything I paid into the fucking system.
Yep.
So instead of me waiting until I'm 65 and dying, I get it now.
To get $1,000 a month or whatever the benefit is. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I think, and again, let's talk about compounding interest. What would be better off for me financially? To get that money now and to do something with it? Or to wait until that $1,000,000 is worth fucking $250,000? at the time.
Yeah.
You know, so even $250,000 now in a fucking basic interest account, basic fucking dividend account.
Yeah. You know what you should have done 30 years ago? Made a life insurance policy that you can borrow from, so therefore you're only paying yourself back, or however that goes. I don't have a full understanding of that. It's
Actually,
like
you want to know
whole
a fucked
life
up story?
Insurance.
It's called premium life insurance as well. Whole life premium life insurance, right? I actually had one and I closed it.
You did?
Yeah, I didn't understand the gravity of it when I was like, because they pulled it up, because she told me when I first got my insurance, she's like, it'll be cheaper for you to open a life insurance policy and have car insurance at the same time. And I was like, okay, whatever. And they swabbed me, and I was high as fuck at the time. So I was like, oh my God, I'm going to fail this drug test they're giving me. But they didn't. And like, it was, $50 or some shit. And I ended up closing it because being strapped for money when you're younger, I'm like, oh, I could use this $50. And I remember her trying to talk me out of it. And she's like, no, you could borrow money from it. And I was like, no, I already did that. It was only $500. But if I would have kept that shit for the last 20 years, yeah, it would have a fuckload of money in it.
Yeah, you got to get the one that you can borrow against, though. I forgot which one it is.
Well, she told me I could take a loan out. It was the same one. It's like whole life or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is that you have to wait X number of years before you can start borrowing it from it. It's like
2 years. I can't remember. It wasn't that long because I remember taking money out of it. Because I had it for a couple of years. I remember taking like $500 out of it.
And then you live off that money and just pay it back or some shit. If I knew how it worked, I'd probably have one.
Well, I think the way the basic premise of it was to say if I had kept mine for that long and, had it for 20 years now, let's say there's $1 million sitting in it.
Yeah. I
could take out 500,000 of it now and I only get 500 later. But what I could do is take that 500,000 out, pay it at 4 or 5% interest back to the account every year, but put that money in a 7% bearing account and keep the 2% every year.
Yeah, but the thing is, too, with that interest rate is that you're paying yourself. You're literally paying yourself the 7% interest.
Yeah.
You're borrowing or 500,000 at 7%, and then you're getting 750,000 back. Like, you're literally just giving yourself money.
Yeah, it's kind of like right now when I borrow against a 401k account, I pay my 401k back, which is my account.
Yep.
Why?
Just
because you're specifically not taught how to financially educate yourself or be financially educated in school, because we are a nation of workers, not a nation of thinkers.
I was just thinking, like, all of this stuff is generational knowledge that comes down. And then, even then, say you're 18 and your dad or mom or whoever, an adult in your life, comes to you and says, hey, take out the premium life insurance policy. Mm-hmm. You're going to be paying $750 a year into it.
Yeah.
Okay? I don't want to do that. Like you were saying before, I was young and strung out for cash, so I closed it.
Yeah, and didn't understand that. Yeah, oh my God, if I'd have kept that right now, yeah.
Yeah, I had elders around me too saying, you need to start putting money away for your retirement. And I was 18 and, really into the party scene at the time. Like, why would I want to do that? I might die tomorrow,
Isn't that crazy, the thoughts of a young man versus the thoughts of an older person,
Yeah, you kick yourself in the butt.
Oh my God, yeah, I was specifically this one guy, because he's very savvy at work, and I'm trying to tell him, this graph I'm looking at, I'm like, if I just had the 20 years back, now, knowing what I do, being your age, and I was like, you're 18, I'm 38, and I was like, dude, you just fucking $100 every fucking month right now for the rest of your life. I was like, you're going to be a billionaire. And he's like, whoa. I'm like, you have no idea the fucking 20 years you have.
Yeah.
But you know what, though? I would rather start now than be worried about when I'm 60. Because we still have 20 years.
Yeah, that's
we still have 20 years, man.
That's very, very true. And that's, I do things, not on the scale that we're doing, but I do things to make sure that, what was it? When I was younger, okay, let me just back up with this prattling nonsense. When I was younger, I was always of the mindset, live fast, die young, leave a beautiful corpse, right? Well, I lived fast, I didn't die, and my corpse is ugly as shit right now because I'm an old man, not in my prime. Well, I'm not in my prime female age, I guess, is the thing, because girls are more valuable
18 to 25.
Society, 18 to 25, whereas
men are
more valuable
25 to 35 or 40, 25 to 40,
25 to 40, whatever the case may be. Either which way, I'm outside that scope. And now I'm just like, man, if I would have, planned for the future, one of the things I wish I would have done 20 years ago is plant that damn tree that I need right now. But planting a tree right now that your offspring or inheritance or estate can benefit from
is remarkable. That saying something about... You talk about it a lot. The guy who plants a tree now, knowing that he'll never be able to reap the shade of the tree or some shit like that.
Is true wisdom. That is true wisdom. A man who plants a tree now, knowing that he'll never be able to reap the benefits of the shade, is truly wise. Yeah. Because he leaves the tree for his offspring, the generation. But that third generation is going to have the giving tree experience, where they're going to chop down the tree, and then after a while, it's just going to be a stump it can sit on.
I was just thinking that. Yeah, they have. Yeah. But again, I think that's exactly where the powers that be, the corrupt part, attack the family unit right there.
Yes.
Because if you do not, we just kill off that third generation, and then the next third generation will be even fucking shittier.
And then we'll have a total generation of consumers, and that's what I really think is going on. You ever notice that the more conservative agenda, they are all about protecting the family unit, family rights, and all this other good stuff, but what happens to the mother who's impoverished that needs to be forced to have a child, whatever? That's a huge financial undertaking. They don't give a shit. Like, more conservatives don't give a shit about a life once it's been born.
Oh, that's a good point. Like, yeah, you cannot. But then they're like, I don't know, my problem.
Exactly.
Again, they're like, oh, everything to structure to keep the family together is socialist and democratic and...
Yeah, but go to church on Sunday. That's the conservative agenda that I see. They're very much like, protect the baby. The baby's everything. But once it's born, fuck it. That's the way that I see these conservative agendas going as far as the family structure goes. They're like, we just want consumers. Just pop out consumers.
I had this weird thought, actually, the last 2 weeks, because I eat out once in a while. Every single meal I've had has been garbage. Like, it just tastes like garbage, bro. Like, everything I eat, I'm just like...
The restaurant business that gives faulty food is not serving food or something like that. There was a Nick Crown. There's a Nick Crown interview out there with one of these concierge to the super elite. Mm-hmm. And he's talking about how different types of businesses are structured in such a way that they have to sustain a certain level of product, right? After a while, I don't clearly understand this, obviously, but after a while, a business's product goes from peak and starts dipping, right? So they plateau and level out or whatever. It's a natural business cycle, up, down, whatever. And he's talking about a restaurant that started out serving actual food, starts buying more of like the pink slime and the processed foods and all that stuff, and then after a while it's not really food, it's just chemicals that they're selling you. So you become a restaurant that's not serving food anymore. You're just serving food product.
Yeah, because after a while, people don't go to a place because of the food. They go there because of the name.
The ambiance, the whatever.
I went to eat at blank place. Or I went, it's not like I had no one ever says I had a great meal. That was just like, I ate at this place.
Yeah, I'm going to put McDonald's on blast right now, too.
I saw a thing about their Big Mac being $18 or some shit.
Yeah, everybody's worried about minimum wage going up and all this other. If minimum wage goes up, we're going to have $15 an hour Happy Meals or $15 Happy Meals. Like, that happened already. Minimum wage isn't up there yet, but that's happening everywhere. And they don't serve food. They serve food product. All of their French fries are eerily the same. Like you were saying earlier, I think it was Mike's Cold. They're all the same.
Yeah, the whole way they make and can maintain, farm, and produce their russet potatoes. Oh, my Lord.
It's a fucking stuff.
Chemical potatoes, yeah.
Chemical potatoes.
What?
The golden long shanks that are unblemished. You ever eat a real potato? You got eyes in the potato. There's a little bit of a root coming out of one. You just cut it off and eat that son of a bitch.
Reminds me, like you were saying the other day about, was it ugly foods? Imperfect foods?
Imperfect foods.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, McDonald's had the dollar menu, and now they still have the $2 to $3 menu, and it's all the same crap food that we've been eating all this time, and it's not even food anymore. It's pink slime and chemical potatoes that are just goldenly perfect every single time.
It's been, I remember that came up when I was working at Five Guys. They talked about pink slime. Isn't that like a meat substitute or
it's
additive?
A meat
or something?
additive.
Okay, that
you know
it up or something? Or
I don't. It's a filler of some kind. But you know how you get 85-20 or
lean ground beef or whatever.
Yeah. So in that percentage, like it's 70% beef or whatever. The other 30% is additive ingredients, fats. They call it fats, but I call it pink slime. Oh, yes, we're fact checking our own stuff here.
Oh yeah, because I remember hearing that when I was at Five Guys, and I just don't remember what it is anymore.
No, and that's the thing. That's the thing with
pink slime food product.
That's the thing with all of this media. They just throw so much information at you. It's a commodity, and then we forget. We forget that there's aliens.
Food product. Someone said it perfect. They're like, yeah, blah, 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 blah. And the soft reveal about aliens.
Yeah, the soft reveal.
Pink slime making its comeback.
All
2
right.
years after fury over pink slime swept the country, that decided that meat product in the industry called, wow, is pink slime still legal? The product is allowed to be used in ground beef. Yeesh. What? Ugh. Target, Walmart, Safeway, Albertsons carry products with pink slime.
Yeah, so all your beef, all your 20% or whatever is an allotted pink slime. It's not ground beef. It's whatever bits they want to throw in there.
Yeah, so getting a land, we're going to get a nice freezer, and we're going to get a half a cow.
All right, man. You want to give it a wrap at this point in the game? We'll go talk about other stuff.
Mike's cold.
We'll go talk about life products. Mike's cold.
Pink slime, folks. Perpetual energy motion machines. By the way, yoga mat's coming soon.
Yeah. All right, that's a wrap. We'll catch you next week.